Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this session on guidelines on designing, on transform. 2 minutes. Give me a minute. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, on transforming your classroom with skill-based and experiential learning. Right. So let me introduce myself. I'm Usha Rani, AVP Academics from Next Education, and this session is for you. So feel free to share your views and thoughts and reflections at the end. For now, sit back, relax, and let's get started. Now, let us begin this webinar with a short story, as usually we do. So here, there are two students, Arun and Kavya. Okay, they were a part of a school exhibition. Arun had prepared a chart on water conservation, where he has a neat, colorful, with the diagrams, with labels. He has mentioned save water. He has written the important points like save water, turn off the taps, rainwater harvesting, and he has memorized everything confidently and presented in the exhibition. Now, coming to Kavya, she did something interesting. She noticed that water was being wasted in her school wash area. So she has fitted that nozzle filter, which we call it as aero filters. And she worked with her teacher and friends and designed a simple solution. I can say a bottle based with nozzles. So the speed of the water that is being released to the tap has reduced and she could save the water. So on the day of the exhibition, both the students presented their work. Now, here is the real question. If there is an actual problem of water wastage in the school or in any other premises, who do you think will take the action? Is it Arun or Kavya? And then, who actually developed a skill, not just the knowledge? Anyone can answer. Yes. I hope you got the context. No, I didn't change. No. I was just saying the story. No? Yeah. I didn't change. Right. I hope you got the context. I said about a story because I don't want to step in straight away into the context that actually being teachers, we do that way. Okay. So I want everyone, okay, to be attentive and respond to the queries that I have asked. So can anyone answer, like right now, among the two students, who is the best in terms of resolving the query? Who can actually resolve this real problem? Yes, Kavya, right? Disha, can you tell me why Kavya is the best? Why not Arun? Where does the difference lies? Yes, she will resolve the problem. Okay. How do you know? Yes, she experienced the problem. Good, great. Yes. Anyone? Sridevi has given the answer, right answer. She came with a solution, right? Yes. Yes. Something else that we say in our terminology. Is it only the knowledge that is being gained? So now can anyone say the difference between these two people? Yes, she developed the skills. She knows to apply the knowledge. Yes, Ajita, you are right. So here, both Arun and Kavya has gained the knowledge. But who has applied the actual knowledge into the system is Kavya. Okay, so this is actually we are looking at, that is a shift we are actually talking about today, where skill-based and experiential learning mainly transforms our classrooms from passive listeners to active performers or active doers. That is from memorizing to meaningful understanding. And this is exactly what skill-based and experiential learning brings into our classroom. I hope this is clear. Right? Yes. Everyone are at delivering the knowledge, because all the teachers or all the educators are vessels of knowledge, and we are pouring that knowledge or the facts to the students. But what about the application part? What about the skill part? That is what we are going to focus today. Right, let us move on. Right. So here are the objectives of the sessions, today's session. That is differentiate between different teaching methods. Then what and why experiential learning, stages of experiential learning, that is about what we call teaching method, how to design a lesson plan is what we are going to discuss here. And the fourth step is stages of experiential learning, that is about learning method. So here we are discussing with respect to experiential learning. One is the teaching method, the second one is learning method with respect to the student. And teaching method is what we say with respect to the teacher, how to teach it, how to design a proper lesson plan, and the teaching pedagogies or strategies. Now, the fifth pointer is here, what and why skill-based. Now, what is skill-based learning and why is skill-based learning important or required? Now, stages of the skill-based learning. So this is our agenda for today's session. Let us move on to the next slide. Yes, differentiate between different teaching methods. Even before stepping into this, we should know what are the different teaching methods, which we already have discussed in the previous session on competency-based education, that is CBE. So can anyone say one difference between each one of them? Anyone? I'm very happy. It's pleasure for me like being here, and I could see a very huge response from everyone, which means like all the teachers and educators being updated with what is happening in the educational reforms. Glad to see this. Traditional lecture method, yes, yeah. I just want to know what is it? Like how is it different from any of whatever the different systems that I have showcased on the screen? So traditional education system means like it's a lecture or an theoretical or a discussion method, right? It is teacher centric. Yes, it's more of I can say delivery straight away, like it's where I can say main focus is on the teacher and less focus is on the student. So here it focuses on the theoretical lectures and standardized testing to measure the knowledge retention. So it's more of exam centric rather than uh, student centric. The next comes your skill based. Yes, so here it mainly focuses on hands-on, that is job-specific training to prepare the learners for the immediate technical roles. Like for example, if you take any of the roles like nursing or welding, or if you see fitters, welders, all these professions, you don't see much of their time being catered to classes. I mean to say theoretical classes. The focus will be more on the practical classes where 80% of weightage goes there and 20% of the weightage will be on the theoretical classes. Okay, so this is what skill-based education, where we can see in most of the vocational courses, like if you see beauty and wellness, if you see carpentry, if you see printing, all these things is where you can see home science or nutrition. These all is where the focus will be more upon practicals rather than the theoretical. The next comes with your competency-based education. So here it combines theory and practice. So this is where we can say that it's an amalgamation of traditional education and skill-based education, where the focus is on knowledge. Once you gain the knowledge, then you should master the skills and then your attitudes or behavior so that he becomes ready for the 21st century. So that is about competency-based education. The last one is the Gurukul system, which emphasizes upon the holistic growth, that is where values and skills through a deep personal relationship between the mentor and the disciple. So this is about this Gurukul system, right? So let me show you a video on this. I hope my screen is visible.
Comparison of educational systems. Traditional education, skill-based learning, competency-based education, and the Gurukul system. Traditional education. Learning approach is mostly theory and exam focused. Progression is through fixed grades and timelines. Application is mostly theoretical. Assessment is through exams and tests, and the mentorship is through classroom lectures and limited personalization. Example: a medical student who memorizes books but lacks hands on experience, and a teacher who learns theories of education but lacks practical classroom training. Skill based learning. Learning approach is through hands on training. Progression is based on practical ability. Application is job specific training. Assessment is through practical work evaluation. Mentorship is through industry professionals train learners. Example: a paramedic trained to handle emergencies but doesn't understand deeper medical science, and a tutor trained in delivering lessons but without deep pedagogical understanding. Competency based education. Learning approach is both theoretical and practical mastery. Progression is self paced and mastery based, applied in real world skills for careers. Assessment is through demonstrated mastery. Mentorship is guided by experts and industry linked. Example: a doctor who learns through practice and understands both treatment and research. A teacher trained through interactive teaching methods, real classroom experience, and educational psychology. Gurukul system. Learning approach is holistic learning with skills and values. Progression is flexible, based on teachers' approval. Applied in daily life and leadership. Assessment is through teachers' judgment based on tasks. Mentorship is guru disciple, relationship, and lifelong learning. Example: Sushruta, the ancient surgeon who learned medicine, surgery, and healing under a guru. Panini, the linguist who mastered Sanskrit grammar under a guru and later became a great teacher.
I hope the audio and the video is visible and audible, right? Is that clear? Right. Please hold on. Right. Now you have seen all the different teaching methods. What are the different teaching methods? One is the traditional, the second one is skill-based, the third one is competency-based education, and the fourth one is the Gurukul system. Right. Now here I have the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Can anyone say like what fits into each type of education or the strategy? Yes. So can you read this or do you want me to zoom this? Yeah, making it full screen. Yes. I hope you can see now. Just see all the four pictures as well as the text speaks about the different teaching methods. So one stands for which of the teaching method? Yes. One is traditional, true. Traditional, theoretical, yes. Or conventional mode of teaching, yes. What about two? Yes, do agree. One is traditional, yes. What about the next? Move on to the 2, 3, and 4. The pictures and the text. Yes, 2 is skill-based, true, yes. So you can see here a student who can follow a recipe step by step and prepare the dish, but may not understand how to adjust if something goes wrong. It's not only about salt, it's about if you need to make a balanced diet, or if you need to make an protein-rich athlete, sorry, wrestler, or for a diabetic patient. So that is where he couldn't. Okay, so that is where skill, as of now, as on a prior, we know about skill based is more of getting acquainting with the skills rather than the theoretical knowledge, right? Yes, true, agree. What about the third? It is, yes, competency based, where there is an amalgamation of the traditional plus this, the second approach, that is skill based learning. True, yes. And what about the fourth one? Fourth is it experimental based? Holistic. Yes. Yes, true. Sarita, I agree with you. It is a holistic approach which is actually followed in the Gurukul system. Yes. Yeah, let us move on to the next slide. So you can see the answers here. Competency based and goes with your Gurukul system or holistic approach. Yeah. Now here one more picture. So here we have all the pictures and there is an context given, which is very much aligned to this picture. Now tell me which teaching method does it cater to? Yes, teachers or educators, please respond. One, no, is the wrong answer, Lina. RC, it's wrong answer. Vaibhav, it's wrong answer. Aruna, it is a skill-based troubleshooting and apply concepts to new situations. No, it's not skill-based. Guys, read the context. Read the context. Read the context. Yes, Lena is the right answer. It's the, yes, Lakshmi is the right answer. Yes, now I'll answer it. So here, who is designing, is building? You can see the third image here, right? This is the third image where he's designing, she's designing, building, testing, and troubleshooting the circuits independently and applying the concepts to new situations, where she's adding switches, improving the efficiency of the circuit. Maybe she's adding more bulbs to it or resistors or the wire. So, and she's explaining even the reasoning part of it. And this is where your competency based, where the skills plus knowledge together are being mastered. Now let us move on to the next one. Yes. So give answer for this. It's very easy, straightforward. Yes. I could see the slide. Yeah, this is the second one. Yes, Sarita, it's true. It's the right answer. Yes. Parul is the right answer. Nikita, yes, is the right answer. Shubha, it's wrong answer. Jasmeet is the right answer. Yes. So almost everyone got the right answer. Good. So the right answer is the traditional or the conventional method of teaching. So here you can see who can define, because here there's more of memorization knowledge. So memory based knowledge we call it as. So who can define the current, voltage, resistance, and even draw the circuit diagrams, but struggles to build a working circuit. That is where the skill is. So I hope now you are getting the difference between the knowledge and the skill, okay, to build a working circuit or troubleshooting issues. Okay, so this is where the traditional method, where the student is only acquainted with the knowledge either through illustrations or flow charts or this thing. But if he need to build a circuit, okay, or he need to build a project on it, so he's where he's failing. Right, let us move on to the next one. Yes, here is one more context, guys. Please respond. So should I read it? A student who can assemble a circuit correctly using given components, so battery, bulb, wires, but may not understand why it works or how to fix if it fails. Yes, Yes, Babita, Lakshmi, everyone, almost everyone has got it right. Okay, right. Yes, yeah. I can say 100%. Everyone has got it right answer. So here it is skill based. Okay, where he may not understand the background information or the theoretical knowledge about it, but he's able to build the circuit. Let us move on to the next one. Right. Yes. Yes, it's the fourth. Yeah. The left out option is four. Yes, a student who not only designs and optimizes the circuits independently, but also uses the resources responsibly, ensures safety, collaborates effectively, and applies learning to real life real life needs like energy saving or practical solutions. So this is where the complete it's an amalgamation of all the three types of teaching methods. So that is where we are here. Right. Let us move on to the next one. So we are done with the comparing the different types of teaching methods, that is traditional followed by the skill based and the competency and the holistic or the Gurukul system. Now coming to this experiential learning. Now what is experiential learning? Can anyone? We are actually following this by giving some hands-on activities for the student to perform in the classroom. Yes, learning by doing, right? Yes, learning from day-to-day experiences, touch and feel method. Yes, that is what we call kinesthetic learning. Activity by games, learning through experience, doing activities. Yes. Yeah, you are right. So here is the definition for this. Experiential learning is an educational approach where students learn through experience, right? So it involves, we make it full screen. Yes, it involves a continuous cycle of doing, thinking, analyzing, and reapplying. So here you can see the four stages, right? So this is about doing, then followed by thinking, then analyzing, and reapplying. Now, what does each mean? That is what you'll see in the next slide. So doing is where concrete experience, that is where the theoretical knowledge, or what you can call where the students actually does this hands-on experiment and then he gains the knowledge. So this is what we call as doing or gaining the concrete experience. So Kolb described two different ways of grasping experience. Okay, so one is concrete experience, the next one is about analyzing. So these two falls under the grasping experience, followed by the other one is transforming the experience, which thinking and reapplying will fall under that. Now coming to each one, first let us understand one after the other and let us move on. So into this, when I say doing, that is concrete experience. Now what is concrete experience? It is nothing but where the student will be given a small activity or an experiment to perform. Once he performs that, then is where he would be gaining the knowledge, and the teacher will be giving or asking some open-ended questions. That is what we call reflection. That is what called reflective observation. And the students will be drawing the conclusion or inference from that. This is what we call like identifying a problem, then predicting it or making a hypothesis on it, then you are doing an experimentation out of it, and then you are drawing the observations and the conclusion. So this is what we call a part of reflective observation and as well as concrete experience together, I'm saying. So first one is about doing, where you get the concrete experience. It's about the student who's actually, post-slide question is on screen. What is it? Is my screen not visible? Yes, right? It's visible. Yeah. Yeah, it's the second. We are on the second stage of this, because in the first objectives I have mentioned about the stage one, stage, I mean to say step one, step two, which includes altogether 6 steps. So I hope we are on track. Let me move back. Yes. Yeah. So as I said here in the previous slide, we discussed only about the 4 stages of this experiential learning, which is nothing but this Colby's cycle, we call it as. So he's the one, he's an educator and a philosophist who has designed this, which can be implemented in the classroom. And this is a teaching method. So to design, it's a learning method that is where can be followed by the students when they're doing when there is, I mean to say, process of learning happening. So now in the first step, that is about doing. So in this is where the concrete experience, okay, where the that is what I said, hands-on activities or experimentations or performing the activities happens in the classroom. And this is followed by the thinking, where the teacher would be asking some open-ended questions. Why did it happen? And why is the material being aligned this way? And why did I even ask such questions is what there would be such sort of open-ended questions being asked by the teacher. That is mainly meant for reflective observation. That is followed by the analysis or analyzing, is where the abstract conceptualization. So this is where actually the teacher intervention with respect to explain the complete context. Okay, explaining the complete context in the sense like the complete she can explain the context with respect to a visual or showing an AV module, or she can even show the textbook pictures and demonstrate it, or she can even do a mind map presentation or a flow chart. So this way she explains the complete. So her role comes at this point, that is abstract conceptualization, followed by the last stage, that is reapplying. So whatever he has learned, the student has learned in the classroom through all these 3 stages will get incorporated in terms of performing a project by himself without the teacher's mentorship. So this is where the stages. So let us move on to the next one. Yes. Right. So this is where the stages of experiential learning, where I said about this. Oh, right. Give me a minute. Yes, give me a minute, guys. 1 minute. I'm back. Right. Yes. One second. Yeah. Right. So this is where experiential learning we are saying about. Even before going into this Kolbe cycle, we need to go into the Panchadi. So now why is this required? So here we said 2 methods are there in this experiential learning. One is about the teaching method. The second one is the learning method. So first, let us focus upon the teaching method rather than focusing on the learning method. So learning is where the students are involved and how the cycle should exist. So as I said here, we are true with this experiential learning, the definition part of it. And let us move on to Panchadi, that is the stages of experiential learning, where the teaching plan or a lesson plan is made by the teachers. And here includes the first step of Panchadi, that is Aditi. So can anyone say what are the different steps included in Panchadi? Which is almost an experiential learning approach, which includes anyone. First one is Aditi, that is introduction, followed by the second one. Anyone? Both, that is where we'll say conceptual understanding, followed by the third one. Yes. Abhyas, that is what we call as practice, followed by the fourth one, that is Prasad, and fifth one is Prayog. So no one is answering, so I need to answer. Yes, now moving on to the next one. So here, the first one is Atiti, that is introduction. Now, in this Panchadi introduction, what is that we are going to give to the student? So it's not like straight away we will say about you are going to learn about so and so topic. That is, for example, here I have taken a 7th grade topic, that is life process in animals. So rather than switching on, okay, rather than straight away switching on to this topic introduction, so here we are going to show a real life application part. So what is this about? So for example, when it comes to this chapter, we are discussing here the digestive system and the respiratory system and the circulatory system to a small extent. So in this, the real life application part is where I'm showing the context of the digestive system, where we have seen the people where they're wearing these pacemakers. So we know about heart pacemakers, and here something called as gastric pacemakers. So gastric pacemakers are used for the patients where what we call the contraction and expansions of the, or what we call this churning of the stomach doesn't happen. So in that case, these pacemakers are placed just below the skin, and these wires are attached to this muscles of the wall, so the churning happens. And due to this, the food moves to the lower part of the stomach as well as the intestine. If not, this food will not move to the through the pyloric splinters and towards the intestine. So this is about what we call it as real life application page, where we can give such context and then say that we are learning about this digestive system or life processes. Now moving on to the next one, this is what we call as a real life application, which you can give as part of Atiti, that is introduction to the chapter or to a topic. The next one is field trips. So one field trip is where you can give by straight away taking them to any of the field trip, like can be a dairy farm, or it can be an industry or a factory, or it can be a wastewater treatment plant, etc. Right, as per the context or the chapter that you are considering. Now, so here is where the context is. You can see they have gone to uh, a picnic where they can see the boy suffering from this I mean to say here acidity. So that is where he has given an antacid to neutralize the acid produced in the stomach, that is the HCl. And there is one more scenario, you can say an accident, you can see where a boy has fallen into a pond, and the dad is actually saving him by giving the CPR, that is cardiopulmonary restrictions, by following this, giving the chest compressions followed by the breathing through the nose, that is inhaling, not inhaling exactly, exhaling through the mouth and giving the breathing through the nose and the by closing the nostrils and then inhaling through the mouth. That is what we call cardiopulmonary restrictions. So this is what is being shown as an part of the physical extra knowledge, I can say. So this is one field trip, and one more field trip is where you can give such sort of videos where, for example, here I'm not able to open this. Give me a minute. Can you see my screen? No. Give me a minute. So here are the few videos which I'm opening. These are the related to these field trips. It can be National Geographic channels or Google Maps, where you can explore the even the China Wall or the Colosseum, etc. And even the anatomy part also. This is something related to anatomy. Right. So here is this, where you can see a complete 3D picture of any of the It can be a museum. It can be, this is a historical place. Okay, this is one. And one more is here. For example, Taj Mahal. This is how you can explore it. You can show it to the students. Yeah. So this way you can just move on. So the arrows would be given here, so you can navigate. So the students would get a real feel of observing this historical places. So you can even rotate and show the 360-degree view of this. Even the interior part of that and how this tombs have been constructed. Because we are discussing a part of acid rain in chemistry. So this way you can show the complete picture of this, a 360-degree rotation of this. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now moving on to the next one is where if you want to observe about any of the animals habitats, it can be a polar bear, it can be a camel in a desert. This is where you can just surf and showcase to them. And here is one more where this is a video of an um, skydiver where he is just moving from the, you can see here, the 360-degree rotation which I'm doing with the knife. If you want to explain with respect to the major difference, this is where you can show. And this is one more where this is something on in Cambodia, I feel, a historical place. Yeah, this is where you can even see the street view. You can even rotate this way. As per the context of the chapter that you can explore. So this is one more where this, as I said about Colosseum, you can even explore this. This is about Taj Mahal, the complete view with the river. Right? And the last one is about the anatomy. So if you want to show any anatomy, so this is where you can rotate and you can show a 3D model even. This is a 2D model. So this way. So these are the different ways by which, right, I hope. Yes, I hope you could see my screen. Yes, could you see the videos which I have shared?
Yes, yes.
Right, yeah. Now coming back to this, Right, we are done with this. That is the Ajiti, that is the introduction part. The next one goes with your quick check. So this is where the students' prerequisite knowledge or the prior knowledge can be tested rather than taking a bridge course at an grade level. It can be done at a chapter level by just giving with respect to the same topic, that is digestive system or digestion. We have taken one topic this way, how the different animals ingest the food by using what is the mode of food taking, and then what are the organs which are involved, and what do you call this mode of taking food, and the respiratory organs involved. And then here is a clue box where it is given. So this sort of also we can encourage so that they can move on, you can move on to the actual concept. Then comes with this both. Right. Yes, then comes with this both, that is the conceptual understanding. This is the second stage of Panchadi, where teacher introduces the formal concepts. So this is where the teacher can explain either using any digital content. That is what we are mostly saying, interactive learning rather than very straightforward learning by a blackboard or a lecture method. So try to use the AV modules or the activities rather than just straightforward content. And then moving on to the next one is where Abhyas, that is the third step of Panchadi, where practice. So here is where the student need to be given the task of performing the activities. Okay, in case like with the materials which is readily available. For here, you can take the leaves and you are taking the Vaseline. So, or you don't need to give any materials. Just tell them that this is what the objective, learning objective. So here the learning objective is, let us confirm the role of mucus in protecting the stomach lining. So that is the objective being given. So the students can perform this activity and they can present in the classroom in the on the next day. So this is what we call abhyas, that is practice. Then comes with prayog, that is where the application. So this is where the next level. So they are right now thorough with the actually the I mean to say the prerequisites as well as the application part of it with respect to the real life context, and then the theoretical knowledge, and even about the activities and experiments, that is through prayog they have done. This is the one abhyas they have done. So in the prayog they can apply to the new situations or scenarios. So that is where you can given a project here. So in this project is where you are asking the students to collect the data with respect to the name, age, what is the respiratory trouble the students are having, or the patient or an elder person is having in their community. Find out the symptoms of that, what is the severity of the symptom. And then after that, you are asking them uh, a respirometer also, to take a respirometer. That is nothing but, if in case they're not having, they can even build that. How to build that is also given in this information. So here they're writing the name, the number of inhalations and exhalations, that is the per minute, that is what we call rate of breathing or breathing rate. And then if they're performing any of this meditation or yoga or exercise that they have opted for, so that we can give. So this is what we are giving, that collecting the information. This is what we call as a project. So it's not required in all the cases something like an building a model or building an activity or hands-on. It can be something collecting the data, can be from a hospital, can be from their neighborhood or their community, etc. And the next comes with your life skills. So this is where we are attaching it to the breathing exercises, or it can be with respect to the digestion like Trikonasana, Paschimottanasana, and Pavanamuktasana. These are more related to the digestion to aid in maybe reducing the bloating or strengthening the body. Or it can be pranayama related lung strengthening asanas. It can be Bhujangasana or Adhyamachandasana or Vajrasana with deep breathing exercises and to increase the lung capacity. So this information has been considered, and it has been, they need to write the information, create the posters, and they need to write the do's and don'ts slogans like stretch, breathe and digest better, or yoga for a healthy you, and present it during a morning assembly or a healthy event. So this is what we call it as an prayog, that is application. Work on the projects or the challenges. The next comes with your, okay, so here we are done with your life. So we are done with this prasad, that is sorry, prayog, that is application. So the last part is what we call prasar, that is expansion. So connect to the learning to the real world or industry application. So this is where if the student really want to explore more, so in case of physics and chemistry, there is a possibility, but this is something related to the life process. But still, you can ask them to design maybe a stethoscope, or they can ask them to design a respiratometer, or um, what else, respiration and circulation and digestion. Also they can give something like an gastric pulse maker, also they can pacemaker, also they can design by maybe making a balloon and then sticking to it so that the contractions and expansions are seen. So this is where the next level prasar or expansion would look like. And here we have given something like exploring the research institutes around us, so which is very, very much related to that chapter like AIMS, that is All India Institute of Medical Sciences. What is the research going on, where is it located, and why is it located in that particular area, is what the information. And if they want to explore more, there is a website link here, just click on that so they can navigate and they can explore more details on it. Then comes why what and why experiential learning. So till now we are done with the teaching method, that is what Kolbe's experiential learning. Now we are going with the learning method, which already explained these details, saying that doing and analyzing, these two form the different ways of grasping the experience, that is doing as well as analyzing. All right. Now coming to these two, that is thinking and reapplying, are a part of transforming the experience. So Kolbe's experiential learning actually has two ways of grasping the experience, that is doing and analyzing, two ways of transforming the experience, that is reapplying and thinking. Okay, so this I already explained, so I'm just re-explaining it again. Now let us see the examples for each one out of the 4 stages of this Kolbe's experiential learning. So till now, the experiential learning which we have studied is Panchadi. Don't get confused, guys, because here I'm discussing about the 2 stages of this, I can say 2 diversified stages of this experiential learning. One is this Kolbe's model, which you are right now going through it. This is what I'm saying, a part of a learning method. The prior, that is Panchadi, is a method of teaching, so that the teacher can design a lesson plan, create a lesson plan as per whatever the steps that I have told. So it's very much user friendly. So that is where Panchadi gets been applied there. And coming to this Kolbe's learning method, which is, I can say, a learning approach or a learning process. Okay, with the different steps I'm just going through an example. For example, the first one, that is the doing, where we can call that as a concrete experience. So here we are asking the student to perform a small activity. So now this is what I'm giving as an example. Take a beaker containing hot water, place 3 spoons into it, 1 wooden, 1 steel, and 1 plastic spoon. So you can ask your students to perform this activity, okay, and touch it and find out. Okay, so as per whatever the steps I have given it here, you can just perform it. Once that is done, now you ask some reflection questions on that, which we can call as an observation questions. Now you can ask, why did the metal spoon? So even before even asking it, you can ask the students to record something. That is what we have given here as an observation. So the effect of heat on the metal spoon, now what is it? Whether it is hot or cold, or the effect of heat on the wooden spoon or on the plastic spoon. That way, let the students record their observations. Once that is done, then you can ask some reflection questions on, why did the metal spoon feel hotter than the wooden or the plastic one? And what do you think moved from the hot water to your hand? Is there something that is got moved? Is it the heat or the temperature or energy? So that way the students would be giving the information back. And if you want still advanced or application level question, what will happen if the same activity repeated with a metallic spoon having a plastic handle? Will you still feel hot? Okay, so this sort of questions is what comes under thinking. That is stage 2 of this called experiential learning, which we call that as a reflective observation. So we are giving questions on that. The third one is analyzing, which as abstract conceptualization. So, and under this, what happens? The teacher will be teaching the actual concept. Either she can use it using an illustration or an AV module, or she can use a mind map even to depict it. So this is where actually the process of conduction is what she is teaching, saying that it is transferring. The heat is being transferred through solids to the hand. That is where the students can feel the warmth. And then comes with your convection. That is where the heat is being transferred through the liquids or gases. And the last one is the radiation, where there is no medium required for the heat to transfer. It can be through the sun or it can be through the campfire. So this is where she's going to explain the details of the complete information that falls under analyzing part. So this is only a role where the teacher plays is in this learning method, is where the a third one, that is analyzing or abstract conceptualization. The first two stages, that is doing followed by thinking, is a student centric, and third is where the teacher's role, that is teacher centric, and the fourth comes again the student centric, where reapplying. So this is where the active experimentation. Now the student has learned about conduction, convection, and radiation. So you can ask the students to perform something. It can be a project, it can be a model. So this is where the students are designing a demo flask, where they're using different materials. It can be a foam, it can be a cotton, it can be a plastic, okay, to prevent the heat from escaping out of that bottle or the container. All right. So this is what we call an active experimentation. And the next comes here. This is also one more reapplying active experimentation. So this is what we call the Persian houses were made, where you can see. One second, guys. Right. So this is a Persian wind catcher house model. So it demonstrates the convection in innovative and real world. So when the temperature of the deserts were around 60 degrees, but the inner temperatures that in these houses, the Persian wind catcher house model, we call it as. So in there, the temperature was less than 25. So how they used to maintain is where this is what it will depict, where you have this is what you can, a vertical tower is there, where you can see the warm air rising from the house towards the top of it, and then the cool air which is coming from the these vents which are being created on the, it can be a window or it can be from the other side of the tower, or this chimney we call it as. So this is where the architecture has been built for the natural ventilation and the cooling. This is how the science concepts have been connected with the industry relevant design practices. And here this is a small model what the students have created with the cardboard, and they can even keep a lamp, a spirit lamp or any lamp here, and see how the hot air is rising and the cool air is coming back. So this is, let me use the tool. So here you can see, this is how, for example, if I keep any lamp here, let me use the color. So for example, if there is any lamp here, the hot air rises this way, and then it moves outside, and then from here, the cool air occupies because of the low pressure that is created. Even from the vents also, these are the small vents, that is the windows to that. And here you can see the cooling system. There is a water flowing, and even due to evaporation, this water will occupy this area. And so that is where the temperature goes down to less than 25. So this is about, right. So this is about this convention model of model creation, which is a part of active experimentation. And the same they can do for the radiation, where they can create a solar cooker model, and by using the different types of foils which will reflect the light better. Now, what is skill-based? Now we are done with the experiential learning. Now we are going to skill-based learning. So why are we doing it in the last? So here, as I said, here it's part of, as I said, competency-based education includes experiential learning plus the skill-based learning together. right? So now, why is it being discussed here? Because now you'll understand by just seeing the slides even. It is a learning process that aims to develop the certain skills and practical mindsets in students, which will be beneficial for them in context. Okay, so this is about uh, skill-based education. So it's a main a learning process that aims to develop the skills. So what are the different skills? It can be problem solving, critical thinking, leadership skills, or it can be communication, collaboration, adaptability, flexibility, etc., which you will be seeing in the upcoming slides even. So here is where you can see the different skills. Can anyone say what each skill stands for? Anyone? Promoting lifelong learning. Okay, so this is also a part of skill-based education. Now, for example, now we have seen what is skill-based education. So that is where I said mastering the skills. So what are the different skills is where you're going to see in the next slides even. With respect to, as I said, all the 21st century skills you can consider, including the learning skills, life skills, and the what is the other one? Literacy skills. All right. So now coming to this, everyone knows about lifelong learning because we need to be, yes, using an implication of skills. Okay. So now everyone learns about promoting the lifelong learning is where you need to be updated with whatever the trends or like, yes, real life experience. Yes, Lena. So this is, as I said here, promoting the lifelong learning is more about getting acquainted with the new trends and technologies, what's happening in the industry, because what the jobs that we have today, we don't have it tomorrow. So the students need to get updated with the new skills. The next comes with your promoting the personal growth and self-empowerment. So this also is a part of, I can say, bridging the gap between the education and employment. Now, what is this? So this is where the hands-on experience or the coding or the communication skills and the leadership skills are required for the students to acquire a job. Okay, as I said here, it's more of a competent, and the job market or the job skills are changing every day. And the next comes with your enhancing employability. All right, and the next one is adaptability. So adaptability is nothing, I can say, similar to this survival of the fittest or the natural selection or the Darwinian theory. So we say that one keeps changing with the continuously changing environment. Do everyone agree with this? So we need to change with the continuously changing environment. Is more likely to get selected and survive. Otherwise, we would be lost. Yes. So this is what we call survival of the fittest. So this is what a part of bridging the gap between the education and the employment. The next comes with your fostering, that is entrepreneurship and innovation. So here is where skill-based education at the early stage fosters an entrepreneurial mindsets in the students, which helps them to think beyond their textbooks and make them ready for the industry ready or career ready or future ready. Right. So these are the different, I can say, the importance of having the skill. So why is skill-based education important or required? So that is the answer. The answer for this lies in this slide. Now comes to why is skill-based education important. So these are the different skills that you can see: critical thinking, problem solving, analysis, and dissemination. With respect to the different skills were also mentioned here, like imagination and creativity, logic and reasoning, data collection, conceptual thinking is a part of problem solving. When it comes to critical thinking, imagination and creativity, logic and reasoning, conceptual thinking, reflection and feedback. So these are the different skills as part of research the student need to be acquainted with. The next comes with your stages of skill-based education. Now, what are the different stages? Right. So in the last session, I have discussed about this skill-based education or psychomotor domain. which includes imitation, manipulation, precision, articulation, and naturalization. An example for each as part of a student is also given here. So can anyone say what is imitation? In my last session on competency-based education as well as on Bloom's taxonomy, I've discussed about this domain in detail. So can anyone say, so under skill-based education, you can see all these stages. So what is imitation? Anyone? Yes, it's a mimicking, true. So it's about watching and copying someone else's action. Sindhu, you are 100% right in that. So watching and copying the someone else's action. So it's here the teacher, the demonstrator, so the mentor. So when they're performing something, the student observes it. That is what here. Student observes the teacher building a simple electric circuit and tries to copy the same steps. Yes, it's a repetition, Subhashini, right. Next comes to the manipulation. So anyone can say what is manipulation? What is manipulation? Is the second stage of skill-based education. It's not copying to make changes, okay? Not that is the exact meaning of manipulation, but in this context, it is different. To follow as the teacher say no, 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 no. Works himself as instructed by. Right, right. So someone has answered it right. Works himself by following, by mentoring, by the guider or the instructor. True. It is practicing the skill with guidance. Now, in the first go, the student has copied whatever the teacher has demonstrated in the classroom. That is what I said, watching and copying someone's action. In the second case, he's practicing the skill with guidance. So he's practicing it. That is what we call as a manipulation. The student builds the actual circuit with the teacher's help, following the instructions step by step. Right? Now comes to the precision. Now, what is precision? Is accuracy? Yes, that is exact meaning. But in this context of, yes, being clear, doing work independent, yes. Yes, yes, you are true, Sneha. So this is where performing the skill accurately without the help of the mentor or the teacher. Right? So this is where we call precision. That is, the student independently builds a correct workflow, working circuit without the assistance of the teacher. The next one is articulation. Now, what is articulation? Anyone? What is articulation? Articulate is where you are combining multiple skills. Right now, he has gained one skill, that is about building the circuit. It's not about being able to explain clear expression. No. Articulate is where you are saying combining multiple skills. So he has one skill of the knowledge plus the building of the circuit. The third one will be his creativity. It can be his problem solving. So these different skills is what he will combine, and then he would make it. So the student designs a circuit with a switch, multiple bulbs, and solves the issues like the loose connections, or he can use by producing an major output. The next one is naturalization. So what is this? Naturalization. Anyone? Not real life experiences, Sneha. Express confidently, true, almost closer. Not learning by doing. So just understand the four stages. Where did he reach from here to here? So naturalization means it has become a habit to him. So he has mastered the concept and it becomes a habit. So that is what it becomes automatic also. So this is what we call mastering the skill. So it becomes a habitual to perform this activity. The same works with an teacher, with a medical student, etc. Right? I hope it is clear. Right. So there is one more video here. Let me play this.
stages of psychomotor domain, skills development. Imitation, watching and copying someone else's action. Example is, a student observes the teacher building a simple electric circuit and tries to copy the same steps. Manipulation, practicing the skill with guidance. Example is, a student builds the circuit with the teacher's help, following instructions step by step. Precision, performing the skill accurately without help. Example is, a student independently builds a correct working circuit without assistance. Articulation, combining multiple skills together. Example is, a student designs a circuit with a switch, multiple bulbs, and solves issues like loose connections. Naturalization, mastering the skill so it becomes automatic. Example is, a student confidently designs and builds different types of circuits for real-life applications without guidance.
So I hope it is clear. So this is what we call as a learning method. This skill-based education is required. So if not, the students will move on to rote memorization rather than having that motivation or commitment towards learning new things. The last one. So we reached the last step of this webinar. Okay, so in this, can anyone say how can I relate it? For example, in this doing. So I'll just give one answer. So doing is related to Ajiti. Okay, and this is related to imitation. So the same way, because here we are giving this as a part of teaching process or teaching method, and this I'm saying is a part of, sorry, I've given it reverse. Yeah, so this is what I'm saying as a part of teaching method, and this is part of learning method, and this is what stages of the skill-based education. Right now, but if you see somewhere or the other, you can see that this is equivalent to this. So if I go with that, doing is what I can say can be compared to Atidi, that is the introduction of the concept, and this can be compared to the imitation. Yes. So can anyone say about the next one? What is reflection? To which stage of this Panchadi can I relate it to? Yes. Both. No, it's not the right answer. No, Sharmila. No. It is actually related to Atiti only. Because still we didn't come to the conceptualization, which is actually comes here. That is the concept discussion by the teacher. Right? And here the both comes to also imitation. Right? Applying, that is initial use. So this comes to abhyas, and here this comes to abhyas, that is what we call practice, that is performing. It will come to precision and advanced. Okay, so prayog and then prasad. So I'm going to show in the next slide the answer for this. Let me erase all of this. Right, now here are the answers. Right, I hope it is clear. Right, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm here to address. So you might have heard about competency-based education, which NCF is actually 2023 has been given in their guidelines. And even skill-based education also we have seen, where competency-based education includes experiential learning and skills, because it's an amalgamation or it's an combination of what we call knowledge, then followed by skills, and the last one is about the attitudes or the behaviors. So all the three is what we already discussed, but this session have emphasized more upon what is skill-based education, which we are saying only occasional education is emphasized on it. No, we can even bring our curriculum also into it provided start with an activity or experimentation, then followed discuss the concept behind it, and then give the space for the project to do on it. Vishnu Kumar Kurmi's, yeah, is a question that you have asked. So that is what I'm showing you some examples. Like it's not required in each and every maybe concept, but you feel at the beginning of a chapter is what you can start with, so that the chapter progression would go out, that the entire would maintain that, I mean to say, that mesmerizing factor in it, that awesome factor in it. Maybe at the beginning of the chapter, you can start with such experiential approach being used. As I said here, Colby's experiential learning, that is where a part of learning method. The second one I shown you about is Panchadi approach, which you can use it as a part of your lesson plan. So I know most of the teachers and the educators are following this lesson plan when they are teaching it. You don't have time. See, you are anyways creating the lesson plan, because teacher doesn't teach any topic without a lesson plan. The reason I'll tell you why a lesson plan is more important, because you know the boundary of the concept. That is one. Second thing is you don't skip out anything. You don't you know what is the time that is being catered to. And fourth thing, like how to be more innovative when you are teaching it, so that you can grasp the attention of the student. And the last one is evaluation is also more important, otherwise you cannot move on to the next session, so that you know where the student stands or what is their understanding, and then accordingly you can make a plan for the next day session, like whether should I go with the continue with the same concept, or should I move on to the concept, next concept or second concept. Right? Yes. So Google form might have been shared with you guys on your chart. Yes, team, can you share the Google form so that so teachers and educators, if you have no queries, fill the form and you can leave the session. Yes, I know everyone had a good knowledge being consumed in the session, and it's great meeting you all, and have a wonderful day. Yes, yes. Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Sheetal. Yes. Explain about Panchadi again. So Panchadi, I told you about the stages. Let me go back. About the 5 stages that we have. That is Aditi, that is introduction of a topic. Yeah. So here we are. So we're introducing a topic. That is what we call the Aditi. That is the first stage, where you can give a real life application, and followed by the next one where you can give a field trip. And the next one is where you can give an simulatory field trips even, and the quick checks. So this is where we can call the first stage of the Panchadi, that is Ajiti. The next goes with your both. That is where your conceptual understanding would start. And that is where you discuss the complete context that is given in your textbook. So instead of teaching them orally or a lecture or a discussion method, I prefer to go with an audio-visual module, which is given here, or you can fetch it from the YouTube even. And the next goes with your third stage is your abhyas, that is practice, where give an activity or experiment which they can perform and they can present in the classroom, or you can give the materials and let the students do it in the classroom. That is what we call hands-on experience. Then comes your prayo, that is application, where you can give some projects for them to perform. Okay. And the last one is your prayog. This is also one more life skill. The last one is prasar. That is the 5th stage, where we are giving a sort of more to explore. That is where the research institutes which are related to that particular chapter, because this is something bio related. But if it is something a physics or in chemistry related, or still here also we can give something designing any new activities or models, etc. The way we have done it in the physics convention, that is modes of heat transfer, the similar way. Okay, I hope it is clear.